Heyo everybody, Haku here with HaQ&A 67 this time around. Now it's been a good, 2-3 weeks since the last one, but I was waiting of course to get stuff all sorted out. I wanted to have enough discussion to carry the video and all of that. And also, I just had a really busy week, like the week before last or something, and I really do need to get back to being active with answering comments as soon as I can, as soon as I see that they're commented. I keep falling a little bit behind, but I really do need to get better about that. But yeah, either way, this month I forgot to do the monthly update and just realized it like a week later. So I'm just going to do it here because pretty much the schedule's staying the same. That's all it is. Schedule's staying the same. Magical Girl Raising Project will be up when there's a new episode revised. And when there's not one revised on that Saturday or Wednesday or whatever, it allows me time to do some more variety, do a special video, do a different read through like Beastars. So yeah, that's pretty much what is going to be happening. And now there is a new episode revised, but I probably won't be able to get around to that one for the next few days because I'm really trying to get this Monmusu video finished. I wanted to have it up by next Wednesday, and it looks like it'll be up sometime from Saturday to Wednesday. But yeah, I really do need to get better with comments. Then anything else before I get into sections? I think that's about it, except I would like to ask you to please, if you haven't, I'm going to leave a link in the comments and description stuff, but I did a video discussing the anime for next season and asking, some thoughts on them or what you think I should watch or cover or anything. So if you want to watch that and have your voice be heard and what you want me to maybe review next season, I would say watch that and comment it there or comment it here on this video if you don't really need to watch that and but I would just recommend it. I liked making the video. So yeah, some of the things I'm thinking off the top of my head are Black Clover because on the one hand, I personally like watching reviewers when they don't really read the manga or something. I like watching both ways, but most of the time when I watch a reviewer who hasn't read the manga before, when it's like a popular series or something I have read the manga before on, I'm always excited to see them guessing at things and not quite knowing what's going on because they haven't read the manga. And I think it adds a bit of extra layer of interesting to it. So for me, I think that'd be good to do with Black Clover. Then again, of course, it could always be so popular that nobody watches my videos because there will be so many other people making videos. But it's not really about that, not really about the views, more about how much discussion, whatnot we can get. But then again, we can't really get that if nobody's watching the video, so it's a difficult subject. So going into Black Clover blind, not reading the manga, I think would be cool. But the two that are really standing out to me the most, I forget the titles of both, but the one about the two girls going on a trip in the post-apocalypse, and the one about the whole mud whale and the guy with the powers, typical anime stuff, that one, they both look really good in the fantasy adventure typical anime stuff. Those two stick out to me as being the two I would most likely want to review week to week, but I'm going to watch the first episode of each and see how things go, just to give everything a chance, and then whichever ones that I really like and think would be good to review, I'll stick with those 2 or 3. Or even four or 5, maybe, if I'm feeling very much up to the task. But the ones I've gotten people to talk to me or talking to me about already are Hoseki no Kuni, the one about the asexual gemstone people, and the other one was Kino no Tabi, and they said that, of course, on the Discord, that I don't really need to go and watch the original series, that it should be good for me to watch just that. But yeah, that's it. Gonna go ahead and, like I said, I'll leave a link to that in the comments and description. I'm gonna go ahead and get into our first section now. And our first section this week will be the Tower of God section, so let's go ahead and start answering some comments and discussing what's going on here. Ilala211 said, I was not as hyped for the Hidden Floor as I was for the Floor of Death, but so far I'm loving it. I wasn't so sure about it when Gastang was first talking about it, but after the explanation in this chapter, I think it's gonna be good. And Juke replied, I am still unsure about it, but I am interested in seeing where it'll go. I guess it's like that with every arc's beginning, though. And Neilala said, yeah, it's like that for most arc, except for the Floor of Death. My hype for the Floor of Death couldn't be contained, so I was a bit cautious going into this arc. And yet, for me, I'm way more hyped for this than the Floor of Death. Like, the Floor of Death was hyped up a lot to be amazing, but it delivered just all right. But I think though this hasn't been hyped up as much by characters and stuff in the story, I feel like the Hidden Floor has a really great concept and idea behind it, and I think that though the idea of being in a video game world is a little bit overplayed, it has happened a lot, I really have confidence in the way that CU is writing so far and says that he wants to write it. I have confidence that he will make it pretty different and unique, so I think that my hype is probably greater for this floor. Galan said, I didn't expect Yu Han Sung here this early, to be honest. I like these groups created in the chapter. I like the motive with leaving one's self for future generations. It's kind of like, hey, get to know the person ruling this tower before getting as high as him in the tower. The thing I have to mention is that Bomb and Andrasi in a team is great for them both. They do need some time together, but not in that sense, but in the sense to set some things straight, especially Andrasi. Bomb needs to leave Rachel far away and focus on every one of his companions each at a time. He has an amazing group under his orders, and I think he kind of stopped appreciating it. I would agree so much with that. I really think we need more development for Bomb's team, because I feel like the past few arcs we have been just so laser focused on Bomb that we are forgetting to develop his team a lot. But yeah, I think that I like how the floor is set up too, because it is basically a giant ass time capsule for Zahard and the 10 families and everybody else that makes it there, for their past selves. So it's like, it's this time capsule to see the past selves of people, like a human time capsule, but it's also sort of grown and become its own world, it's great. So yeah, I like the setup. I think we're going to get good development with Bomb and Andrasi, which is great, but I hope we get the other regular characters some development as well. Renan said, it would be nice if Bomb could make could do the impossible, make a sworn enemy his actual ally. And I think that would be super entertaining, personally, for him to make the copy Bomb into his ally, but I also think it'd be a very Bomb thing to do to befriend him. So I do think that would be good. I would be for that if that was the choice that CU made here. And then lastly for this section, Melissa Marquez said, honestly, I agree with you about the battle going too fast. Lately I've been giving up my hopes for the webtoon ever since the Name Hunt station. Everything's happening too fast. I've mentioned it in another comment on one of your videos. I have to say though, I'm pretty excited for this arc. And I disagree with losing hope. As a person who's been around for years and years and years, it's like whenever there's something bad, everybody's like, oh no, everything's gone bad. And it's like, no, there have been times in the past where everybody's like, oh, that arc was terrible, or that chapter was bad, the world's going to end. But then they have good arcs and everything goes back to normal. But yeah, lately things have been way too fast, and I think the reason for everybody all of a sudden like hitting that sort of wall with it right now is that I feel like we had Dollar Show and it was amazing. We had Name Hunt Station and it was amazing as well, and they were both really, really great. And Floor of Death was hyped up to be even better than the two of those, to be the best thing, to be like the climax of this Hell Train storyline. And it was hyped up so much, everybody was like, okay, we just got 2 good arcs, so we know that CU is delivering good arcs, there's going to be another good arc. And then the Floor of Death, though I thought it was good, and I think most people thought it was good, it failed to deliver in just a lot of ways. And I think a lot of fans are still like, they're viewing the series still with a lot of that disappointment going on, where they're like, it failed to deliver in Floor of Death, so we're not sure where we're going right now. It kind of derailed the really good flow that the series was going at. I think this arc can get him back on track, though, if it's a good long arc with a lot of development. I think that's what we need right now. But yeah, those were my thoughts for all the Tower of God discussions this week. So yeah, either way, thank you for watching that section. Next up, we have Boku no Hero Academia, which I believe is the longest section this week, but let's go ahead and start discussing things. First up, Kenju Storm said the fights happened in the same time at the manga, but they changed the order in the anime. And yet, thank you for bringing that up as well. I looked it up after the episode. I think it's weird. I liked the way it happened in the manga, but I feel like for them doing it in the anime, it's probably what I said in the review. They're probably doing it so that they don't have to jump around all the time between scenes each episode, and they can just focus on one fight at a time. I don't know. I don't like, to a point when it's not like, I feel like a series should be like really, really, really sort of faithful to the manga, and then just add in some extra things. So whenever anything is changed or removed, it really it bothers me, because it's like it's content there, but we're not really getting it. So I don't really want to say this is bad, because it isn't, but I do think I maybe would have preferred if they did it more faithful to the manga. And then next up, Alan Castellon, sorry, I think it's Castellon, says, I love that Toga can be a legitimate sweetheart when she feels like it. Toga could be my sweetheart. I even just threw that in just to say Toga best girl. It used to be a really stiff competition, like Ashido and Asui were sort of in there. I really liked, not Mandalay, well, I did like Mandalay, but who was the other one? Pixie Bob. There were a lot of them I liked, and then like up there, top tier waifu, there was like Kyoka and Yaomomo and Midnight. But I think even Midnight, who was my best girl before, has been surpassed by Toga. So moving on from that, Darcy Forrester said, as for the timing, Lemillion caught up to Overhaul 2 minutes after he left, so Deku arriving now makes sense. After all, in that 13-minute interval, Sun Eater dealt with Setsuno, Hojo, Tabe, Kiri. Hojo and Tabe, Kiri, and Fat took out Rappa and Tengai, and Deku, Night Eye, and Eraserhead stopped Mimic. Plenty of action, which fills the time nicely and realistically. And thank you for bringing up the timeline, because that was where I was confused. When it said 2 minutes later, I thought it meant 2 minutes from the last time that we saw, I didn't think it meant 2 hours from when Mirio left. I thought it meant 2 minutes from the last time we saw Izuku. So that's where I was mixed up. I was thinking 2 minutes from the wrong point in time. So yeah, either way, it would be like justifiable, because even if it was like 2 minutes from when we last saw Izuku and them, and it took them 13 minutes to catch up, even then we could say that, you know, the facility was big and confusing after Iri Naka changed it, and they didn't know exactly where Chisaki would be. So you could make the justification either way, but this way, of course, it is a lot more tight and sensible. Joe K said, I feel a bit weird with the chapter, talking about last chapter, not this week's. On one side, I liked the chapter. It was well executed. I enjoyed it all the way through. But on the other side, I don't really like the contents of the chapter that much, and believe it could have been better if it had went a different route. I'm just a bit unsure about how to feel at the moment, but that's just with this chapter. I'll probably like it more by the end of the arc or in a few chapters. One thing I can be sure about is that I love the Papa Tintin cameo, and Mirio never skips leg day. Good lord, it's like there's a whole head in his calves, lol. Thanks for the video, Haku. I really get what you mean, because there have been a lot of times this arc where it's not that I disliked it, like, I love the chapter and stuff, and I respect the way Horikoshi's writing the arc and everything, but there have been some things during the arc where it's like, I love it, and I respect the way Horikoshi's writing it, but it seems like off, or weird, like it seems like it's written or organized in a weird way. Like, this entire arc has just felt weird compared to other Boku no Hero Academia arcs. It's felt very different and out of place among the arcs of the series. So again, it's not that I think it's bad, and I think if all the other arcs had been written this way, I wouldn't even notice the difference, but it's just the way it's organized just feels different, and it feels off compared to the rest of the story. But either way, I do enjoy that they went through Mirio's flashbacks and stuff, and thank you so much for the comment. Darcy Forrester said, just a heads up, but the flashback about the dolls was in the volume extras, not the chapter that was adapted for this week's episode of the anime, and thank you for letting me know. Like, either way, I think they maybe should have added it in there, because I think that it the episode would have benefited from it. But yeah, either way, I think that the episode was just I feel like it didn't do as good a job as the manga did in developing the characters. So I do think they maybe should have added a little in there. And then last comment for this section is Gal Anonym, who said, I completely love the interaction between Sir and Mirio. I love that the League of Villains is going to get into this final fight too. I love the way that Horikoshi took with presenting Lockrock to us, or rather explaining his presentation. I think that everybody thought about it, but since Beaten Overhaul's body joined not so much Beaten Nemoto's body, he's in pretty good condition right now. Of course his transformation can be broken or disturbed, but right now he's good to go. For me, I agree on both the first points about Sir and Mirio and the League of Villains. I love the whole Rocklock thing. I think it's great writing because it reminds me a lot of, I won't give any spoilers, but the Zoe arc, where we were thinking of One Piece, where we were thinking something the whole arc, and then a reveal changed everything, and then everything we had seen so far makes sense in a different light. Where we thought it made sense, we thought it was linear, but then we learned something and we're like, oh, it's completely different than what we thought, but it still makes complete and absolute sense. So I thought they did the same with Rocklock here, where he was kind of a complaining jerk that everyone was annoyed by, and then we get the sort of reveal of why he was doing it, and now it's like it all makes sense, and him doing the same things, it's hard to see him as much as a complaining jerk now that we know why. So I think that was really great writing. It's a mark of good writing to me. As for the Chimera overhaul, I do feel like even with an OP quirk like his and the two bodies fused together, he's pretty outmatched by Deku and Night-Eye at this point, and if Aizawa gets freed from Chrono's quirk, him as well, he's super outmatched if he gets his quirk stopped by Aizawa again. And the thing is, we don't know how long Chrono's quirk will affect him, because if we were to compare it to other quirks that we've seen that have effects on people, they pretty much always have time limits, and the time limits are pretty much always kind of short. So unless Chrono shoots up with some of that quirk enhancing serum, then it's probably going to wear off on Aizawa eventually, if the fight even lasts that long. And then he's really, really screwed if the girls finally catch up, which I could see them doing, since we didn't even get to see their fight. We just saw them say, okay, go hell on ahead, and we haven't seen them since the beginning of the arc. But yeah, I guess that would be everything going on here. Or maybe the League of Villains jumps in to try to pick up the scraps after the fight is over, and that's when the girls come in to chase off Toga and Twice. That could make sense as well, given that there's the whole Toga-Uraraka rivalry thing, where Uraraka is like a serious actual love interest for the series, and Toga's just like insane. So yeah, either way I could see any of that happening. But either way, that is it for our discussion on Boku no Hero Academia this week. Next up, we have a quick one-comment One Piece section, and one other thing I wanted to discuss. But the comment is that East 1860 said the last scene of this week's episode was really impactful. The voice acting and the soundtrack were both perfect. Thank you for the review. Thank you for the comment. I thought the episode was really great, and of course, well, I mean, it was technically the week before this week, but it was the Sanji backstory one. Either way, though, it showed that Toei can still pull off emotional stories when they just try a little bit, which I think is great. It shows they still have it in them. Nothing anywhere in the New World has been anywhere near as good as what we had beforehand, though I guess the Rebecca flashbacks were pretty good. They just weren't anything like pre-time skip One Piece. But I think that Toei can still pull it off. They just need to try a little, Toei. Also, something I wanted to throw in for the manga is this chapter. I loved it so much that I still wanted to talk about it some, but I want to talk about how I feel like Carrot's totally gotta be a new Straw Hat now. Come on. Not only did I want her to be a Straw Hat before, I was like, oh, Carrot's waifu, I want her to be Straw Hat, and I kind of wanted her to be Straw Hat before she was waifu, but I think that the whole inherited will thing is important, because every character's backstory that joined the Straw Hats, their backstory was all about inherited will. Inherited will was the big thing. Luffy inherited Shanks's will, and then when we got more flashbacks, it was or more backstory and stuff, he was inheriting Ace's will, inheriting Sabo's will, and then he found out Sabo was alive, but there is that. It's all about inherited will. With Zoro, it was Kuina, he took up her dream, Sanji took up Zeph's dream, Chopper took up Hiruru's dream. Each of them, like Nico Robin with Saul and with her mother, like all of them had that. All of them had this person, they wanted to take up their dream, and they inherited their will. And now we have that for Carrot as well, where Roger told Pedro, you know, just wait, everyone gets their time to shine, and then Pedro passed that same thing on, everyone gets their time to shine to Carrot. So it's sort of where with all the other characters who became Straw Hats, we saw in their flashback that they inherited this person's will and that's their dream, but instead Carrot gets to have a different story where she didn't have that to start out with. She didn't have that inherited will, but we get to see her get that and her have the loss of Pedro. We actually get to see that in the present time story, which is Oda doing a bit something different. So I think that her having an inherited will storyline just makes her the most likely candidate. And Jinbei as well, I've already said that I've already considered Jinbei a Straw Hat for a while now, but his backstory and stuff was the same, because you see that he inherited the will and the dream of Fisher Tiger. So each Straw Hat's had a story like that, so that's why I'm thinking we've seen this. We've just seen this with Carrot, I think. But either way, that'll be it for One Piece this week. Now we have two Musco comments to discuss for Musco ga Kawaite, Shikara Ganai, Mazaku no Hahaoya, got it in one try. Andrea Zapita said, this damn manga is too much for my heart. And I know, it is so sweet, and it's so full of tension and feels while being funny and really sweet. I absolutely love the way that Musco is written. Then Seek210 said, Merii is best girl, and I really liked how it can go between light and dark with each chapter. It's a really enjoyable series. Merii is my favorite as well. She is the sexy tentacle waifu. Merii is perfection. I love her so much. But yeah, I think it's such a good series, and I love as well, like you said, the way it goes from a really happy comedic family storyline to them being dark and full of tension and feels. I love the way it can pull off both quite well. So yeah, that's all for Musco. Musco ga Kawaite, Shikara Ganai, Mazaku no Hahaoya. Next up we have some Walking Dead comments. Whoa, that was hard. But they're not really all that much about the Walking. They do have a lot. I don't know about these comments. Like, it's definitely it's not pertaining much to the story of the comics, but it is very much about the comics, and how sort of the comics in Kirkman have been treated a little bit. It's like a thing that isn't surprising to me, but it's still just so shitty. But Latroy's View said, I love the artwork in this and last month's issue. I can agree there a lot. And I wish more people thought like you about the diversity comment Princess was talking about. And thank you so very much. Because yeah, the artwork was great, but I do not get people being so angry about someone saying something so reasonable, even if they disagreed with that. And especially, it becomes especially stupid when they're so angry about a fictional character that doesn't even exist in real life. Like, she pretty much said that the term minority is kind of a negative way to put things. And when you think about it, yes, that's even if you think, okay, just still use the term is accurate. Or if you think, that is kind of a crappy thing to call somebody a minority. Either way, whether you think either way, it is pretty reasonable and very accurate to say, yeah, it's actually a negative term. Minority isn't, like, pretty much calling somebody a minority is saying there are less of you than this other type of person. And whether that is true or not, it carries a negative connotation. And again, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be used because it isn't accurate, because in many ways it is accurate, but it is a negative weighted word. And the same thing, Ahmed McClung said that people were calling Kirkman SJW last issue for having 2 gay couples in one issue, and just, I feel like writers from anything have so much trouble now because people are just oversensitive, and like I said, it's fictional characters. It's like, on the one hand, you got people pissed off if a fictional character is gay, let's just use that. But then if a fictional character said that they hated gay people, you would have actual crazy SJWs saying that was bad as well and freaking out about that, even though it's a fictional character, and fictional characters can be bad people. That's perfectly reasonable. Like, not every fictional character is going to be a good person that you agree with. So, like, somebody could say, or you could have a really racist fictional character. And, of course, that's bad, that's terrible, but they're a fictional character. They're a bad person. They don't exist. I don't get the argument or why people are so pissed off. Do they want this to try to change the mind of a person that doesn't exist? I don't get it at all. But it annoys me, and the reason I bring it all up is that it annoys me that authors and writers and the stories themselves are getting attacked and judged by something stupid like that doesn't have to do with the quality or substance, and people just are judging by stuff like that rather than the quality or substance of the story. They're just saying, oh, well, there's too many gay people, or there's not enough gay people. And in the terms of The Walking Dead, having 2 gay couples in one issue makes complete sense. It's like, what do they expect? Gay people exist in real life. They're not some mythical unicorn. They're a real thing that exists. In the apocalypse, they would still exist. Hell, I would even make the argument that in the apocalypse there would probably be even more gay people. So, yeah, or even more people that would be considered gay by today's standards. So I would even say that it's more realistic that way. But yeah, I really wanted to bring both of those up because I hate something being judged over such a stupid reason, something that's not about quality or substance. So yeah, it is disappointing. And like I said in my review of it, it seems like the people that are so angry and against SJWs are the ones that are always so butthurt and angry about just insignificant whatever. So triggered. But yeah, either way, moving along, that is it for The Walking Dead. Next up, we got some Princess Principal comments, and D Anime Man said that how long is it? D Anime Man. I feel like it was D Man the Anime Man or something before. Was it different? Have you changed your username, or am I just being dumb? Or maybe I'm thinking of your, actually I might be thinking of your Discord name. Either way, this is my favorite episode so far. Even though the cast had a mission to do, Anj's and Charlotte's backstory was the main focus. It gave me feels, it made me feel sorry for them. Anj went from living in a shitty life as a pickpocket to a stressful life pretending to be a princess. Charlotte, living her life as the real princess, became a pickpocket and abused by some asshole. Them playing via piano at the end was heartwarming, and this episode showed us that Anja's and Charlotte's friendship is legit and not some lie. I thought it was really, really amazing, and it's another cool writing thing that they can't come clean either, another element to this. And they can't come clean because if Anj just says, oh yeah, I'm a real princess, then the people she's working for are immediately going to turn on her because they're going to want to use her as leverage over the kingdom. And if Charlotte says, yeah, if Anj says I am the real princess, that's what would happen. And if Charlotte says I'm not the real princess, then the kingdom's going to want to kill her for not being the real princess. So they can't come clean even to this point. And I think it was really great as well because both learned that the other's life was really scary, even though each of them thought the other's life was easy. Anj thought that Charlotte never had to worry about what she was going to eat or wear or who was going to protect her. She was just so safe. And then Charlotte thought that Anj was just so free. She thought that she didn't have to worry about spending every day learning all this stuff, having people watch her every move. So they each thought that each other's lives were just so easy, so safe, or so free. And then when they gave that up and traded it to see what each other's life was like, it all went wrong, and they realized how scary each other's lives were. So I do think that just it's such good writing. Like, it's been done a million times. It's the classic Prince and the Pauper tale, but it's done really well here, and I love that we even have such a good element of writing. Then Ariadne Subagio, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, Ariadne Subagio, I think, said, I feel sorry for Dorothy because people close to her have died in the last few episodes. Same here. Dorothy, to me, I think because of that, though, she's become a really great character, because look at all the development she's got here, and like I said in my latest review, I really think that, to me, Dorothy seems like such a genuinely good person, and like, it's so good when a character, you can root for them and you think that about them. Like, Dorothy is like, we've seen her smoke before, even though she typically doesn't do it. We've seen her try to use sexuality to manipulate people and stuff. But in general, when you see the things she does and the people she cares about and how much she cares about everyone, Dorothy just seems like this really great person that things keep going wrong for, even though she keeps trying to help everyone and trying to make things go right. So she becomes just such a likable and easy to sympathize with character. Artfire28 said, I wonder if the upcoming video game from the series will include the missing cases. I don't think so, personally. I've seen the video game gameplay of it and stuff. It looks like your typical character collecting mobile game with puzzle-based combat. So I don't really think it'll have any significant story, if any story at all. But I could be totally wrong, because, I mean, I don't know everything about everything. Joshua J. Bell, to end off this section, I actually feel sorry for Miss Perfect, Injo. I actually liked her character, and it would not surprise me if the girls that did not make the cut probably got killed by the farm and the council. I would assume the same thing. I would think that they're training them to be spies. They can't really let that info out. If they fail, they probably killed them. I think that's a safe little, what is it called, a headcanon? Like, a headcanon? I don't know. I'm not good with random jargon terms. But yeah, I would say that it would be my assumption they got killed. And that is it for the Prince's Principal section. Last section this week, just one comment for it as well. Elfsamba Yaseraranai and Seek210, who said, it was so funny how Mero just got randomly naked, and that censorship, love the censorship, the fish, will be removed in the Tankobon, so remember to buy that, click click. Also just how everyone was too comfortable at Naoe's house. I think it was pretty funny at the end how they all got scared and passed out, and also when Naoe turned the lights on there was a scary face in the background. And yeah, I liked Mero so much more this chapter than I did before. For me, like, man, Mero during her first chapter I thought was good, and the chapters after that I thought she was even better. This chapter has been the best chapter for Mero. And yeah, that fan service. Also, I am thinking that face might be leading to next month. We might get some kind of ghost girl, or maybe it's just one of those false cliffhangers that you get in a slice of life thing where it happens and then next chapter will just pick up and there won't be anything different. We'll be just going into another storyline, and it kind of didn't mean anything. So it could just not mean anything and it was just a little comedic cliffhangery thing to throw at the end. Or it could be actually leading into something. And if we get a girl, one of the Hachi whatever onas that I keep talking about, and I keep bringing it up because Paula from Poura from the Manmusu game, so great. So I would love a girl like that in Elfsan, if it's anything like Poura. So either way, that's it for the HaQ&A. Like if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of all of this. If you got anything else you want to discuss, of course, timestamps will be in the description, but in the comments, but you will have already seen that if you made it to this point. Either way, like, comment, subscribe for all that and more. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. If you want a link to our Discord server, there will be one in the comments as well, or you can ask for one if that is, what's it called, if it's expired, and I'll give you a different one. So that's it. Thank you once again for watching. I'll see you all next time.